Welcome to the leading podcast for long-term weight management. Subscribe to the podcast so that you don't miss an episode. You can connect with Jenny on all social media channels. You can also sign up to the newsletter to receive frequent content and tips for weight loss success.
Hey guys, welcome to the Power Over Food podcast. My name is Jenny McDonald and I am your host. I'm an emotional eating coach, a weight loss coach, and I'm also an advanced Helix method mentor, which means I include energy work in a lot of my programs and my work with clients. So, how are you all? It's been a while and I apologise. I've been so busy and obviously it's the summer holidays, so I've been taking some time off with Nancy. But I wanted to touch base with you at the start of September because I know it is a key time for people to start thinking about their weight after the summer, and hopefully you're not going on another diet. Hopefully you are thinking about having a healthy relationship with food as we head into the autumn months. And before I get into today's podcast, I would just like to mention my Food Freedom Program because I announced that earlier this week and I am super excited about it. So the Food Freedom Program is an online and a group program. It is for anybody who is ready to lose weight without restricting food, to learn how to nourish your body and to be able to say yes to foods that are maybe higher in calories, but not feel like you've been naughty. And it is for you if you are ready to stop the obsession with the scales and to let go of emotional eating and secret eating and just feel more in control with your feelings, with your emotions and your self-talk. So the Food Freedom Program is going to teach you how to reconnect with who you really are, how to get off the blood sugar roller coaster and balance your energy levels, how to create your own food framework, eating the foods you love. It's going to teach you how stress affects your digestion and how to trick your system before eating. It's also going to teach you how to make friends with the voice in your head and how to combat self-sabotage and how to release any resistance to weight loss and align yourself to your optimum weight. And finally, it's going to help you increase your self-worth, your self-esteem, and your self-love, because this really is the key to living a fulfilled, happy life. If this is of interest to you, our first group call is on the 19th of September. However, you will have access to get started on the online program before then. You will have a comprehensive online training program of over 12 modules to work through at your own pace. But in addition to this, you will also have 6 90-minute group coaching sessions via Zoom, a private Facebook group, recordings of all the calls, and an additional bonus tool module. So if you are interested in this, then drop me a message and I will send you the details, or check out the link below this podcast. So, how are you? I know I'm not recording podcasts as regularly as I was. I was always aiming for every fortnight, and now it's becoming more like once a month, maybe even a little bit longer than that. I've had a really busy year. I think after coming out of lockdown, a lot of things change for us, don't they? And I've been launching different programs and working with a lot of new ladies, which is super exciting. So apologies. And if you're in my Facebook group, hopefully you've been enjoying the free masterclasses in there. So today's podcast, I just wanted to hop on and talk about why we give up on our weight loss dreams, on our relationship with food, whichever way you want to look at it. And I say that because I always say it's the goal shouldn't necessarily be weight loss. It's much better if you can have your goal as a peaceful relationship with food or a healthy relationship with food and yourself. But I want to talk about the reasons why we give up on this. And I've just jotted down some reasons that I thought I would just talk through. And I think one of the first reasons is we tell ourselves that it's really hard, whether that is an assumption we make, whether that is from previous dieting, but our subconscious mind is constantly saying it's going to be really, really hard. It's really hard to stick to it. It's really hard to continue to eat in this way of life. And the reason it's really hard, or it feels really hard, is probably because you're doing something that isn't what you really want to be doing. And that brings me on to the second reason, which is that you've restricted yourself too much. So when you really restrict your food intake, there is obviously only so long you can sustain that before you are literally going insane. And whether that is, well, not whether it is, it's like a physical insanity and a mental insanity. So your body is going, I can't cope, give me something, I need more than what you're giving me. And mentally, you are constantly battling that want, that desire to eat something, and that physical need to eat something, alongside the emotional pull to food. And it just all gets too much, doesn't it? So you restrict so much that then it becomes too hard, and then you just throw in the towel. And this is where I feel that the dieting world, the dieting industry has a lot to answer for, because what we've learned over the years is if we stick to it, we're really, really good, and we're a good girl, if you like. And if we come off track, we've been bad, we've been naughty. So then it's like, well, I can't stick to it all the time, so therefore it's really, really hard because I can't do what I am supposed to do. So there's two reasons. We tell ourselves it's really hard, and we restrict food too much, so it's not sustainable. Another reason, I think, is because we maybe have a lack of support. And that might be a lack of support from people you live with. It might be a lack of support from friends, from colleagues. But whenever we try and change something, it's really, really helpful to have other people backing you, somebody to cheer you on, someone to keep saying you are doing really, really well with this. I know this is a big thing for you, and you're doing really well. But what tends to happen is we find ourselves listening to other people's opinions about the changes we've made. And let's face it, everybody has an opinion about food, don't they? Everybody has oh, you should do this, or my friend did this. And it's really difficult. So then we probably go down the road sometimes of not speaking to anybody about it, but then we find ourselves in situations where we're trying to say, no, thank you, I don't need whatever it is. Let's say it's a cake, and people are going, come on, you can eat it. It's, oh, you want a diet? And then, we get into this whole conversation that we don't want to have, and we just don't feel we've got that support. So that's another reason we can get kind of railroaded into eating foods that maybe don't nourish our bodies and then feeling rubbish about it. Another reason I'd written down is social occasions, which kind of comes under that, what I was just talking about people encouraging you to eat. But quite often I notice that people are trying to change their relationship with food. But again, because they're in that I'm restricting what I'm eating mode, they then go to a social occasion where maybe the food is a little bit more out of their kind of control because it's provided, because they're in a restaurant, or because there's a buffet, and then they feel like they don't know what to do. So they eat something, it might not be part of what they were hoping to have that evening, and they feel really bad about it. And then that old dieting mentality of, I've blown it now, I've done something wrong, I might as well carry on and start again next week. So social occasions can be a real tricky one. And something I work really hard with my clients is when they create their own food framework, they learn how to just include social occasions. No food is off limits when in my world and my clients' world. So that means that if they go to a social occasion and there's foods on offer that maybe on a conventional diet you wouldn't necessarily be able to include, or it would cost you X amount of sins or points, it's not the case when you have your own food framework. So you can just choose to eat that and be okay with it. And that's really important, being able to make choices around food and just being okay with it. The other reason, I think, is because we are very much, most of the ladies I work with, if not all or nothing thinkers. And again, usually comes from years of dieting, but it's like, I am totally in control, I'm totally on plan, I'm following this new regime and nothing's going to stop me. Or I've blown it, I've eaten something I wasn't supposed to, it's all gone out the window. So we go into that all or nothing, and it's like I'm either really, really good and I'm polishing my halo, or I'm really, really bad. And this is, again, as I say, it's the dieting mentality. And when you let go of that and you learn that there is no bad foods and no good foods, and you just eat to nourish your body, and sometimes that may be a bar of chocolate or a glass of wine, and other times it may be a leafy salad or a breast of chicken. It doesn't matter, because you are not constantly judging yourself and berating yourself or evaluating yourself on what your food choices are. Another reason, I believe, is because of our identity. And I think I've spoken about all of these things in different podcasts before, but I'm not sure how much I've talked about our identity on podcasts. But it's almost like if you have spent years and years in a body that's bigger, and you have spent years and years eating foods that maybe haven't served you well, but you've been in that cycle, and we've lived through lots of processed foods being introduced into our diet out of nowhere, through the 80s and the 90s. And our identity may be to eat those foods. Our identity might not be to move our body that much, because we're in a fast-paced society and we're always working and we're always stressed, and we haven't got time to go to the gym or go for a walk or go for a swim or just be outdoors. So if your identity isn't of that person, then there's a whole shift to happen, because your identity right now might be, I am a person that will always struggle with food, will always struggle with my weight. I don't like exercise. I like processed high-calorie food. That could be where you are. It certainly was where I was a few years back. So we need to start to shift your identity to becoming I'm a person that eats to nourish my body. I'm a person that enjoys moving my body. That might not be going to the gym, but that might just be, I like getting outdoors. Yeah, I like putting some music on and having a dance around the house. But it's about shifting your identity so you can actually see yourself living that life as a person who has a healthy relationship with food, rather than a person who will always be on and off diets. So I'm really interested to know where you sit with that. What is in your identity field? Are you someone that will always be dieting right now? And can we change that? And we absolutely can change that, by the way, because I've changed myself, and I'm still working on that change, and I've seen many ladies make this change. And something else is our default set point, which kind of comes hand in hand with your identity, but your default set point is where you're comfortable. And as you start to move away from that place, even if it's, let's say you're losing weight, you're changing your relationship with food, you're feeling really great, and the place that you want to be is in your conscious mind, exactly where you want to be, and you can't wait to get there. Your subconscious is used to being in a smaller body. So your subconscious mind is kind of going, hang on a minute, what are you doing? I let you lose a little bit of weight, but now this is getting a bit far, and we're not sure what life is like over there. We're not sure what life is like as a really small person or as a smaller person. And therefore, I think we better go back to where it's safe. So your subconscious mind will work really, really hard to pull you back to that safe place. And that might be in the way of telling you it's too hard, telling you you've lost enough weight now, telling you what's the point, you're going on holiday in 3 weeks, so you might as well just stop now, telling you it's inevitable you're going to put it back on, so you might as well just give up, or whatever nonsense, limiting beliefs that your mind, your subconscious mind, starts to feed you when you start being successful. And if you think about this, your subconscious mind acts in exactly the same way in all areas of your life. When you try to step out of your comfort zone, when you try to do something different from what you are used to, whether that is applying for a new job, going into a new relationship, when you're faced with something that's a little bit different or a little bit scary, your subconscious mind is programmed to keep you safe. So it goes, whoa, this isn't safe. Let's throw things in that make her feel like this isn't a good idea. And then she will stop and then we will be safe again. So your subconscious is trying to take care of you, which can be really, really helpful if you are in a dangerous situation. But when this situation isn't dangerous, it's about soothing your subconscious mind and telling your subconscious mind that it's okay, that it's safe, and that you are choosing to be here. So they are just a few reasons that I have written down in terms of why we tend to give up on our relationship with food. And I see this happening time and time again. So I would invite you to, first of all, start working on your identity. Who are you? What are your beliefs? Do you believe that you can have a healthy relationship with food? And if the answer to that is no, then that is where to start work. You need to start kind of visualizing that 2.0 version of you, thinking about what does she look like? What beliefs does she hold about herself? How does she carry herself? What sort of foods does she eat? And what beliefs does she need, or do you need to let go of in order to have this healthy relationship with food and this healthy relationship with yourself? And then once you've worked on your identity and having healthy beliefs about yourself and about food, and letting go of beliefs such as, I can't do this, it's too hard, I will always struggle, I will always be a dieter, or whatever it is, once you've kind of shifted all of this, then you can start to work on your support network. You can work on your mindset, your thoughts around food, and start to work on your emotional eating. And that's another reason which actually I didn't mention, but obviously emotional eating is a huge reason why we give up, because we rely, for many of us, heavily on food to self-soothe. And when you start working on your mindset, and you're probably all heard me say, your thoughts affect your feelings, affect your behavior, then when you work on your mindset, when you work on your thoughts, that has a knock-on effect to how you feel and how you behave. And you learn to manage your emotions and your thoughts on a different level, and therefore you have less need to eat emotionally. So I hope that's helped. I hope that's just given you some thoughts as we go into September on how to work on that relationship with yourself more than anything, so that you are not in a position where you're giving up. And I think we need to see this as it's a process, it's a journey, it's a long-term aim. It's not, I lose weight and I'm cured. It's, I will be working on my relationship with myself and my relationship with food forever. And that is genuinely how I feel. I feel that I'm always going to be working on how I relate to food. And don't get me wrong, the past few years it's so much easier. I just feel really, really peaceful around food, and I feel like the decisions come so much easier. But I'll never say I won't be working on it, and I'll be working on my relationship with movement and my identity to become that person who does enjoy moving her body more. So as always, if this podcast has resonated with you, I would love to hear your thoughts on this. I'd love to know what changes you are making this week. And if you do need additional support, you may be interested in my food freedom program, which I mentioned at the beginning. And if you want more information, check out the link below or drop me a message and I can send it across to you. Have a brilliant week wherever you are, and I will see you soon.